Superhero sequels are sometimes difficult to write since there's the easy option of repeating most of the beats that occurred in the first film. Also, that first film tends to be a bit easier to write since it's most likely going to cover the hero's origin story. Spider-Man 2 does its best to develop the story threads that began in the first film while also trying not to repeat the beats from the first film. Thankfully, Spider-Man 2 takes the story in a great new direction, further exploring the dual lifestyle of both Peter Parker and Spider-Man, while also creating a memorable and sympathetic villain in the form of Dr. Octopus. The story picks up 2 years later with Peter balancing his time around going to school, working at the Daily Bugle, spending time with friends Mary Jane Watson and Harry Osborn, all in addition to being Spider-Man. However, being Spider-Man and Peter Parker is beginning to take its toll on Peter's life. The film does a great job of showing just how much being Spider-Man is taking away from Peter's social life. The awkward tension between him and Harry, who's seeking revenge on Spider-Man for killing his father, Mary Jane feeling that Peter doesn't really care for her, which eventually pushes her into entering a relationship with John Jameson. This all eventually leads to Peter giving up being Spider-Man, but when new villain Doc Ock threatens the city, Peter will have to choose whether to return to being Spider-Man. The film does a great job of adapting the Spider-Man No More storyline from the comics. There are even some great homages to panels that appeared in that story. The first film barely scratched the surface of Peter's dual lifestyle and the trouble it can cause him, so it was a really great decision to see that explored for the sequel. The other great thing about the film is Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. He's a much more complex villain than the Green Goblin. The film spends the early moments showing what a compassionate and caring person Octavius is, and it makes his transformation into Doc Ock all the more heart-wrenching. Another great thing about Octavius is the special effects used to bring the four arms to life, which are really well done. There are times when you can tell that the arms aren't really there, but those moments are rare. Aside from that small little annoyance, Doc Ock is a spectacular villain to see on screen. Also better this time around is the character of Mary Jane. The film does a great job of showing her dilemma of choosing whether to wait for Peter or to move on with her life. She isn't saved as many times as she was in the first film, thankfully, but she still gets captured by Doc Ock for the climax, which can feel a bit repetitive to the first film's ending. Harry also gets some good moments this time around, showing his frustration against Peter for his alliance to Spider-Man over him, and the ending of having Harry inherit his father's legacy of the Green Goblin was the perfect place to set up his character for the next film. The action this time around is completely awesome, starting small and building up to the final confrontation with Doc Ock. The standout action scene has to be the train sequence. It's action-packed, tension-filled, and its final moments emotional as the citizens truly respect Spider-Man for saving them. There are also so many more dynamic shots of Spidey swinging through the city and fighting, which creates some awesome-looking shots throughout the film. The music is great once again, with Elfman continuing to use his awesome theme for Spider-Man while creating a memorable theme for Doc Ock. The one place where Spider-Man 2 falters is in some of its attempts at humor, which can come off a bit cheap. Some of the bits are alright, like the stuff at the Daily Bugle, and of course Bruce Campbell's cameo. However, the elevator crotch scene goes on for a bit too long, and its alternate form in the extended version is not any better. It comes off as awkward and not really funny.
And I just want to say that I think the image you have is fantastic. It's really put together. The costume, this thing, I mean, it's really put together. It's great. I think you could do more than print, though. I think you might want to try some TV, you know. Can I riff for you? Can I come up with a couple ideas for you? Just what my company would do? Let's see what I got. How about a children's book? You could have like Charlotte's Web, but without the pig, you know, that kind of thing. How about a line of hammocks? Because it's kind of a web thing. You could do a men's cologne called Thwip.
Thankfully, the humor does deliver on a good number of scenes throughout the film.
What are we going to call this guy?
Dr. Octopus.
That's crap.
Science Squid?
Crap.
Doctor Strange.
That's pretty good.
Overall, Spider-Man 2 is a great sequel and superhero movie, something you actually rarely see in the genre. It further develops the characters and tries very hard and succeeds in improving over its predecessor. Spider-Man 2 set the stage quite nicely for the next chapter, with MJ and Peter finally together, and Harry learning the truth about his father, so hopefully the next film could be even better. I mean, it's not like the filmmakers would screw it up by having a lazy-ass script, too many villains, character and plot overload, all in addition to having an emo Peter Parker whilst also single-handedly butchering one of Spider-Man's greatest villains, right? Oh wait.